Okay, just waiting, just waiting for the interviewers to come online to join me for my interview experience. Should be fun. So I've joined 10 minutes before time, which is like the best practice. So you're settled, you've checked your video, your audio, other quality checks. It's done. It's part of setting yourself up for success. Am I nervous? Nah, been doing this for a while. So I'm not nervous. So you can see I'm doing my video check. Video audio check. I've joined, I'm waiting for them to come on board. I'm going to move this back so it doesn't feel like I'm looking away from the camera. Sound check, loud enough. Feeling confident by God's grace. God will crown this. God will crown my effort. Because yes, you need God. So let us pray. Father, commit this interview to your hands, Lord. Pray that everything that is said shall come out correctly, shall answer the interviewer's questions correctly, shall find favor. Lord, shall give me wisdom and crown my efforts with success. In Jesus' name, amen. Right, ready to go. So you've got to smile as well. Just smile. 3 minutes more. Guys, don't be bored. Hmm?
Noah, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me all right?
How are you doing? Yes, we can hear you right.
Yeah, I'm
How are you?
okay. How are you doing
Do
as
you
well?
want to share your um your video as well?
Oh, you can't see me?
Unfortunately, we cannot see you.
Oh, really? I'm actually sharing my videos on. Let me see.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
Nice to
you?
meet you.
Same here.
Thank you.
Good to be here. Good to meet you all.
Yes, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I'll steal over you for 2 seconds. I'm Daniel
Yeah.
from
Nice.
RTE here. I've been with EDMI for 5 or 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah, I'm quite recent.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm the new hand, but over here to my right is Marcus.
Yeah.
I'm
Hi,
Marcus. I'm the
Marcus.
head of Agile portfolio delivery, and I've been with EDMI for 8.5 years.
Oh, that's a long time. Hi.
One of the seniors.
Yeah. Thank you for meeting with me today.
No problem.
Yeah.
Noah,
Yeah.
you're having an interview because you expressed an interest in the Scrum Master role that we have in our organization.
Yeah.
What do you know about EDMI?
So I know quite a bit. So with my research, I know that EDMI is in business of producing smart meters, and as a global player in this space. I know they have presence in United Kingdom, and in fact have a big market share there. So that's really lovely. I see that there's a lot I can learn and contribute to EDMI. So it's a really great opportunity to work with EDMI. Hopefully, um, I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity. Would be great.
Yeah, no problem. I give
Yeah,
you a little bit of an overview of EDMI. Yes,
yeah,
we are a global player
yeah.
here in the region. We call it EDMI ANZ,
Okay.
covering Australia and excuse me, and New
Yeah,
Zealand.
yeah,
Our region reports into the EDMI headquarters in Singapore,
yeah.
and EDMI is wholly owned by our parent company called Osaki. And
Yeah,
yes, here in the region, we are probably the market leader in smart metering solutions.
yeah,
And when you open your meter box, I don't know whether you live in a house or apartment, whether you have
yeah.
access to your electricity meters, there's a good chance that it is an EDMI meter.
Look out for that.
Yeah, go home, open up the box, be safe, right with it. Yeah. But look, before we dive deeper into the role of the Scrum Master,
Yeah,
so what we do is we are offering full solutions. We develop the meters, the hardware and the firmware, but we also develop the so-called head-end solution. That is this cloud-based solution that basically reads the meters and accepts the data, collects the data from the meters, and our head system then forwards that information on to our customers, which are metering solution providers. And the customers of our customers are retailers, for example, such as Origin or Energy Australia or Agile. So the names that you know, they would be what we call the retailers. They would be the customers of our customers. But we are sitting, our solutions sit at the source where we measure and control energy. And we do that for electricity. That's what we started with. But as part of our product offering and as part of our solutions, we also offer smart gas meters. And the latest addition to our family are smart water meters.
Wow, lovely.
And the principle is always the same. You measure the flow, measure the flow of energy or the throughput of gas and water. You also have you collect metadata, and the meters provide that information to head-end systems, and they connect to the systems on our customer side. So we are at the forefront of measuring and controlling energy. That's what we do. And in that area, we're the absolute market leader in New Zealand, and we have a very large market share here in Australia as well. And the exciting thing is that we do this world-class development directly here in Brisbane in the office that we're sitting here.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, absolutely.
No, where are you based, if I may ask?
Currently, so I shuffle between Brisbane and Tasmania, but I'm mostly around Tasmania most of the time. It's pretty cool here, laid back, because I work remotely with HP laptop, so basically also like a global player in the laptop, hardware, printer, different computing, peripheral development. So I work as a Scrum Master and product owner in that space, so pretty versatile. So what I do, I'm working on a strategic project just to develop custom device for customers, customers from India, for example. They come to HP, they want the custom device for a market segment. So we sit with them, try to understand their requirement, their budget. So we try to build custom device, hardware components, we build the operating system, and then just ensure that we provide a unique experience for the customer. So that's what I've been doing for about 8 months now. So it's a contract role. So we're almost at the tail end of implementation for one of the customer that we were building a custom device for. Prior to that, I worked with InterSwitch Nigeria. It's a Pan-African payment company. Basically, we have InterSwitch has company and office presence in Uganda, Kenya, Germany, just distributed space. So basically I interact with development teams, in different countries as I manage some of the company's, strategic project as well. So in InterSwitch, I worked as a technical project manager and agile coach. So I managed, project and initiative for one of the business line, which is financial inclusion. It's more financial, providing financial solutions for companies, SME partners. And what we do is basically to include, financially segment of Nigeria population that don't really have natural access to financial solution. What I mean by that is today it's not very profitable for banks, especially in Nigeria, to have bank branches in all part of the country. So we are using technology to solve that problem by creating.
Let's talk a little bit about. Yeah, sorry for interrupting you again.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the role of the Scrum Master.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of quick. I'll just give a quick. So here we have this current PI. So we run the same.
Yeah.
Agile. This current PI, we have 7 Scrum teams on our train.
Yeah.
2 firmware teams, 1 firmware team in the water.
Yeah.
2 in electricity. So 3 in total. We have a hardware team. We have a team that looks after the software for the head-end system for the cloud. They write all that. Then we have a store mobile, a team that does the mobile side of that.
Yeah.
And then we have our cloud infrastructure DevOps team as well.
Yeah.
Then the 7 teams in total. I guess I just wanted to get a couple of questions around your Scrum Mastering previous jobs and get an idea. So in your previous role, how many teams did you Scrum Master for?
So I had 4 teams of 11 cross-functional team. So they have a mixture of the back-end developer, front-end developer, QA engineers, DevOps engineer. 11. Some were like 9 in the team. So it were about 33 in total. Yeah. And then with other, because we were adopting scaled agile framework for implementation, so there's a lot of deep collaboration with other players or stakeholders in the enterprise. So basically we have to engage the business, the product team, just to have a big picture basically. And then but we had to start from the Scrum team, implementing the Scrum framework, and then we scaled that up to the business, to the enterprise, so that the agility, business agility, the alignment, and then continuous development and continuous improvement is adopted, enterprise-wide. So, that to your question, was it 4 strong Scrum teams? Yeah.
Yep, and they were all different level of maturity, or they were all in that newer, new Scrum teams?
Yeah, so 2 of them were already matured because when I joined InterSwitch, they were already doing some form of Agile, but we needed to create new Agile teams, so I had to build team, understand, I had to sit with the business to, for resource planning, basically to build the Scrum team, what we needed, to build the solution that was in the pipeline at the time. So need analysis, resourcing. I built the team, the processes, the pipelines for delivery, and how to maintain that. And with the help of the solution architect, that was good. Similarly, I'm also doing the same thing in my current role with HP. So that's about 5 Scrum teams, but they are not. It's just around each Scrum team have about 5 cross-functional team member, like 2 back-end developer, 1 front-end developer, and then 2 testers. So basically, that's the composition of the 5 teams. So we have the hardware segment for the devices. So we optimize computer peripherals like camera, keyboard, the sound, all the drivers, firmware we need to optimize the experience of the device. We have the software layer. We're trying to build custom operating system, because if you've used an HP laptop before, they rely on third party such as Microsoft for their software solution, but we're trying to move away from that so that we can have the end-to-end ownership and make changes very fast and scalable. Because what typically happens is, because we don't have ownership of the software solution right now, if we need a custom experience such as one I've mentioned for a client in India, for example, we need to raise a change request to Microsoft to see possibility of, that's a very tedious process. It doesn't make us scalable. So that's the new initiative. I'm banned by ND. I can't say deep information, but just to give you an idea. And I also have the application, because of course application needs to run on the operating system. So there's a Scrum team for that as well. And I work as an RTE, coordinate, the Scrum Masters. We have two Scrum Masters actually managing two teams, and I'm like the RTE coordinating between, ensuring that dependencies across teams are identified. There's alignment, collaboration is also deep. We're also engaging with our internal HP stakeholder as needed as well. So we also make sure that the team imbibes the agility so that we can really scale and ensure that we can continuously deliver value to the customer. So yeah, that's my experience here.
Awesome. No, that's good. Great. Another good question. I guess it's to do with that continuous improvement. So just want to kind of get an idea. So you're a Scrum Master on a team, and that team's consistently committing to a fair bit of work each sprint, but never actually completing that work, and there's a fair bit of work kind of carrying over each sprint. Can you give an idea on what you would do as a Scrum Master to kind of improve that process, or what?
Yeah, definitely. So so looking at that situation, which happens sometimes, you need to look at the root cause. Now, it might well be that it's from the user story definition. So sometimes what causes this issue is because the user stories are not refined correctly in the investable format. What that means is independent, is negotiable, is estimable, is testable, right? So when that criteria is not met, what happens is there's no clarity. The team is not set up for success in that sense, because they're working on user stories that they don't have all the dependencies highlighted. When you refine the user stories correctly, break things down, right, it would help the team to be able to estimate correctly. So my approach is always ensure that backlog grooming happen. Now, because of my experience in HP, where I have to be flexible and work as a product owner, I manage the backlog as well. So I ensure that before every sprint, the backlog is refined, is prioritized. The user stories that would be estimating during the sprint planning session has all the necessary information, at least to a point. In the sprint planning, there might be few points, clarification points we discuss, but then when we are going into the sprint, we are very sure that we have all the details to be able to complete that sprint. What that does is already setting the team up for success, because they know exactly what to implement. We've identified the dependencies and have a plan to get those dependencies resolved so that they don't become a blocker. Now, if that is done and the team is still not delivering consistently on their sprint goal, then it might well be it's about the composition of the team. What do I mean by that? It means that it might be that there's an imbalance. I always encourage the team to be a T-shaped type of team. What that means is they are flexible, they dedicate to continuous learning, so they can function, they can test their work correctly, ensure that all the unit tests, checks, everything is done correctly, and then rework is minimal, so that when they develop any component and send to the testing team or to the tester, there's no multiple cycles of rework which would affect the sprint at the end of the day. And then sometimes it might be that you need to place them on training just to improve their capabilities, because if you have an imbalance of a senior developer and maybe an intern developer in the team, which is okay, but we need to have a plan to upskill the intent to be able to develop optimally and perform optimally in the team. So the second point is about the team itself. Ensure that the right balance, ensure that they're performing, they are able to perform, because I believe that people want to do their best. So sometimes they have limitation, and then when we recognize that, we can put them on trainings that can help them upskill, and then they begin to perform better, right? Another issue might be, again, linking to not breaking user stories correctly, might just be that dependencies are not well managed. So if the Scrum Master is not on top of monitoring the progress, right? So in your ceremonies, which is the fourth point I'll talk about, but dependencies, if dependencies are not well managed, then ultimately the sprint goal will not be met. The fourth point is around the ceremonies. Are they doing ceremonies correct? I've mentioned backlog grooming. Now in the sprint planning session, how are they estimating? Are they estimating correctly, or is just guess estimation? Like, yeah, somebody is just assigning story point or hours to issues and saying, oh yeah, I'll finish in 5 hours, guess estimation, and then it just never happens, So how is that? What estimation technique is done? And for me, I encourage my team to break down the tasks of every user story. When you break things down, you can see, it will help you also identify the dependencies, so you can really see how long it will take you to complete the user story, because you've broken it down. Some teams just hear the user story, oh, I think it will take 1 day, and then it doesn't happen that day. It spills 3 days.
But with the teams that you have worked together with, what had you experienced to be the biggest challenge, either within the team or between the teams?
So it varies.
Based on your very practical experience that you've had as a Scrum Master.
Yeah, so I've actually mentioned some of them. Sometimes the challenge is in estimation, right? They're not, if you get new developers on board and they're not really familiar with the process, the style of working, the working agreement of the team, they might just estimate based on their experience from other projects, and that becomes a risk. So for me, I always coach any team member coming into the team, or if I'm building a new team, right, I train them on the best estimation techniques to use, how to estimate the ceremonies as well. Sorry?
I understand that.
Yeah.
My question was, has there been a particular challenge within the team that you have been Scrum Mastering? So separate from the two questions.
Yeah, so sometimes the team can't estimate some work, for example, because of the complexity. So, for example, my current role, we do some R&D kind of tasks, or users where we actually cannot estimate, because it's a new phenomenon, like some things we're doing on Linux. The solution is not out there. It requires a lot of research and development, effort. In that situation, I try to, do a spike. Sometimes it doesn't work, right? But we take learning from that process and try to improve. Other thing as I've also mentioned is capability. Sometimes some members of the team might struggle with some stack. Okay, they are not familiar with some stack. Okay, they don't really code.
I wanted to see or maybe hear from you whether there had been particular problems, the way how the team worked or how their team worked to deliver a particular outcome, and then how did you apply that improvement process?
So can you rephrase your question?
So a specific example of a problem or challenge within the team, and how you would have applied, your approach to continuous improvement. That you also explained to us how that could work.
Yeah. So sometimes the team are not performing because of skill challenge. as I mentioned. So they are not really skilled in some stack. So they might be coming from some company where they've been coding in Java, and then they're in a new environment where the main stack is C Sharp. Sometimes it's a big learning curve. Although some developers are language agnostic, but many times many are not. So they need to really upskill. And for me, I try to encourage continuous improvement by putting on training plan, recognizing this issue, and trying to help them to upskill, and then not give them too much tasks that would really affect their confidence, and that kind of thing.
And then from that, sorry, just one more question just around that, then I've got a few others. Like, can you think of a specific kind of project that was maybe going off the rails or had previously, underperformed, and during like a retro, you maybe come up with an action plan or some things to implement? And if so, could you give us an example on those?
Yeah, so there are a couple of situations, but I'll talk about a project I was implementing. We were implementing a mobile app solution for a bank. So we needed some APIs from the bank because it was a joint effort. We needed to integrate to their core banking application, and we were trying to do Agile, but the team in the bank that would support us with the integration were more traditional. So and requirements were not clear. And then there was also an issue of changing stakeholders. So what that meant is the project manager resigned, so they brought another project manager, and then you need to explain where we are, on the project, and it affected the timeline we had committed to, the working relationship between my internal team and the partner. It was tough because we committed to a 6 months implementation of that project, but the issues around different interests, changing stakeholder at the time really made it difficult, for completing that project in the stipulated time. In that situation, during our retro, lesson learned session, we made some lists that when we had similar integration with another bank, because I was working in a mobile application development team at the time, we took that lesson, those lessons that we learned from that implementation and did things better, to manage the risk. So basically, we were sending status reports every week just to check where the dependencies were, such as APIs, when it will be ready, tracking the time. In terms of the changing stakeholder, we were asking for a dedicated team from the partner, and highlighted the risks of changing stakeholder to the project, because when you project manager comes, he wants to get all the context, he doesn't have background of some things that have happened on the project. You need to start almost like starting afresh, so yeah. So that's one situation that comes to mind now. There are many others, but yes.
Yeah, cool. So what would you do differently, I guess, coming into a new role? What in your current role have you seen as like, oh, I could do that better? What would you want to do different if you came to EDM as a Scrum Master? What would you look at kind of doing yourself and getting the team to do?
Yeah, so for me, you need to know you need to observe the current process before you can improve it. You need to know what is available. So when I'm coming, depends on the situation. If there's a situation where the team are consistently missing out on the sprint goal, for example, then it's time to investigate the root cause. Observe how how they are implementing. Is it a problem with the user story definition and all of that I've mentioned earlier, or is it a problem with the process? Is it that there's no agility in the team, or is it a skill issue? Is it a people issue, or is it other external forces, stakeholders, business, because some environment, yeah, they're doing agile, but then people just walk up to the dev team and, oh, can you implement this, scope creep, other issues that can affect implementation and distract the team. So I'll be looking to observe what is currently happening from those perspectives, and then hopefully, of course, because in this situation, the assumption is they're not delivering on their sprint goal. It would likely be one of those issues based on my experience, and then it can improve.
And to Dan's question, upon self-reflection and how you work and your own learnings,
yeah.
Was there anything that you would do differently? For example, I'm making this up now, but maybe you realized, I should have supported the team more with regard to managing dependencies, or creating these links to other teams, or is there anything from your own work style that you would do differently?
Yeah, there's always improvement. So I think earlier when I just started scrumming or being a scrum master, so I was very rigid on implementing scrum from the scrum guide perspective. Oh, this must happen, this, there's no, it's more of self-directing. I think I was not living the value of autonomy. Sometimes it's just command, it's more of command and control. Like, we're assigning this, we need to meet this target, we can't miss our sprint goal, we can't make mistake, we need to make sure that we deliver so it was more of command and control. But as I grew, I knew that sometimes it's counter-effective. People like to feel like, of course, they are experts in their different roles. They don't like micromanaging. Okay, that's the word.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So how would you do? Like, what would you do? What would you do differently? What would you do? Like, how would you do it?
So there's a balance with leadership style. So there are times where, so basically you're on top of situation, and that's why we have some of our ceremonies. I try to allow the team live by the Scrum value, where there's courage, there's respect, there's openness, and there's trust, right? And then we emphasize this every time. So if we have this daily Scrum, for example, we have planned our sprint, we've all committed to that. We are expecting the progress towards the iteration goal in our daily Scrum. And obviously, if the tasks or what they've committed to are not moving as promised, then there's a problem. We need to be courageous to ask ourselves what the problem is, talk about the blockers in a way of resolving it, not people hiding stuff. So I emphasize, the team living by these Scrum values of being open, being courageous, speak out when there's an issue that is hampering you, speak out when you cannot do something, right? It's okay if you can't do it. Let's work together and find a solution rather than just keep it, then come to stand up and say, oh, this thing is not working. We don't want stand up to be your, like, yeah, you wait all day instead of you to speak up during the day that you're having some issue, you're waiting for stand up the next day to come and raise issues. Those kind of values really goes a long way, and I've seen it work a lot. So you give that team that safe psychological space where they're able to open up, they're trusting each other that, yes, if I have an issue, my team will rally around me and help me resolve this. So it's better I speak up quickly so that we can resolve it. Yeah. So that way. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. I was going to say it's interesting because there's a fine line between being a servant leader as a Scrum Master and being the servant and being the leader.
Yeah.
Do you allow 100% autonomy?
No.
Or do you jump in? I'm just asking, these aren't necessarily questions you have to answer. I'm just, things to think about. Like, or do you jump in and direct the team when they need directing? So it's always a fine line.
Yeah, so that's a mixture. That's where the servant leadership. So I'm leading them, coaching them on these values, right? If somebody is not living by the values, it's very obvious to the team. Now, this person, like I mentioned, I gave example, is a particular pet developer is sitting on his hands on issues the whole day and coming to say, oh, I can't resolve it every time, stand up. Okay, why didn't you talk about this during the previous day? Why is it that you're coming on? It will be obvious. You understand when the team reaches that maturity level and you've been coached, you understand the reason for these values. When somebody is not living by that value, it will definitely show. So yeah, there are times when that's why it's servant leadership. You need to give direction to the team, and they also need that autonomy to be able to function and feel like, yeah, they own this, they take more initiative. That's the way they can be more productive. Else, they'll just be doing work, the bare minimum, just to look good. But when you give them autonomy, they'll go way beyond and over to do more innovative work.
Yeah, 100%. No, good answer. Good answer. I've got one more, maybe strange question, and then I'll throw it over to Marcus if he's got some more pointed questions.
Yeah.
Just wondering, which relationship do you think is stronger or more important between the Scrum Master and the PO? Because we do have, so I'll just give it an idea of a team. We've got Scrum Masters in each team, or Scrum Master between a couple of teams, and a PO in each team, and then the developers or the engineers. So do you think the relationship is stronger or needs to be stronger for a better project, for a project to work correctly, between the Scrum Master and the PO, or the Scrum Master and the developers?
So the Scrum Master and the developers needs to be stronger, and there's a fine line, but in my opinion, it needs to be stronger because you can collab. The PO most times will be one person. When there are too many, there's a problem. Yeah, because one backlog, we need to have direction. You've conversed with the PO. You've collaborated on how backlog items should be prioritized, what is acceptable, for implementation, right? If the PO is not doing that, right, it's the Scrum Master can help refine some of that, user stories in preparation for implementation. Now, PO is focused on building the right things. The development team is focused on building the product itself. Scrum Master is making sure that the product is being built the right way. So you have this relationship of building. Once you get that direction, you can get other stakeholders, business users to validate that is the right product that has been prioritized, right? And that will begin to show if you complete a sprint and your sprint review, the stakeholder business users are there and they're saying this is the wrong thing, it begins to tell badly on the product owner, like, yeah, you gave us this direction to build this, and we can start to introspect and ask questions. Why did you say so? That relationship is less, of course it's important, but weighing it, you need closer bond with your development team, shield them, protect them, coach them to do the work. In terms of building the right thing, as I mentioned, there are other stakeholders that can help you validate it, and even the team can validate it during review, and they are presenting your increment to the business, other stakeholders of interest. They will flag something.
What do you think is the common conflict between the Scrum Master and the product owner? Built into the roles, not into the personalities.
Into the role. Sometimes the product owner might not know where the line, they might derail in terms of the segmentation of their role. Like I mentioned, I work as product owner and Scrum Master in some mode. So yeah, because I've done BA and other product ownership, so I have that experience. Now, some product owner do not know where that their focus is on building the right product in terms of prioritizing the backlog, product vision, roadmap, strategy, basically defining that the right product should be built. Now, because they don't really know that, they might go to developer during sprint, give them more tasks because a stakeholder has asked for it directly, or just we are flexible, but you should know that there's still like segmentation. You can't just derail or distract or the focus of the team, and sometimes some product owner tend to do that, and that leads to conflict because the Scrum Master also wants to protect and make sure that the team is focused on the sprint goal and they are set up to deliver that goal. So when product owner feels that I can do the Scrum Master role as well, afterwards just to facilitate the sessions, I can do that. I can, because they join sessions like your daily Scrum, so they can feel like that familiarity. But I'll just start the meeting. I'll just interrupt in daily stand up. I'll just call out developers, or try to make comments that those kind of things might cause conflict.
That can happen. Absolutely. That can happen. Other question that I wanted to ask you: how did you run team retrospectives?
Basically, after we finished our sprint, we've done the sprint review, the stakeholders, and we reflect. So the team, Scrum Master, sometimes product owner might join. It's time to take stock and retrospect. We have the session where we discuss what we did well, start with this positive, what we did well during the sprint, of course we coach them how why this retro is important, just for us to know, take stock of what we've done well that we should keep doing. And then second part is what we can do better, what we didn't do well enough, or what we didn't do well. And then we go around the team, to every member of the team have a voice to talk about this thing, and then any areas of improvement, just general feedback that we can actually implement. So we go around the team, everybody have opportunity to talk about this point, and then we document it. The item on what we didn't do well, we talk about plans to also improve that in the following sprint. So if it's around process, around.
Do you have an example, just a really practical example of that?
So like specific project. So okay, so for example, we in my HP role, I have a team of 2 back-end engineer, 2 front-end, 1 front-end engineer, 2 tester, and then we had to implement a driver to allow custom effect for RGB keyboard. That's the red, blue, green keyboard. So we want to implement an effect where if you have a notification like an email on your device we want the keyboard to just display like any custom color like red or blue, just for you to know that an email has come, without just like effect, basically a delighter. So we worked on that, not just for notification, we did for support, like dedicated key on the keyboard for support. You just press the key and then it can talk to HP support agent. So basically, so basically we implemented the sprint, but we didn't finish with the support part of the implementation. And in retro, which is okay, in retro we talked about it. Some of the issues we raised was, okay, team collaboration was good. We were able to share knowledge because we needed to do R&D, research and development, on some of the Linux drivers that we're using and how it's being used. those are some of the things that were good. Just to make it short, the things that were not really good is the the developers didn't really move issues as quickly as possible to the QA. So during the 8th day of the sprint for those features, they were getting, it's almost like 2 days before the end of the sprint, developers are now pushing their tasks to the QA, and QA are scrambling to try to test it quickly and all of that. And that was not good enough. So those were the things that we didn't do well. We didn't move it on time to the end, to the 8th day. We started moving, so we kind of like overwhelmed the QA. But the reason for that was because there were some hard research and development, element to those user stories, and that's why it took time. But basically,
so what did you change? What did you change in the following sprint?
So basically, what we agreed to do subsequent sprint, we try to look at those tasks that are R&D and isolate them to do a spike. So a spike is like a research kind of sprint where we did for 1 week. So we just segmented all those R&D features, and we did a special spike sprint for that to just clarify, identify dependencies as applicable, and then we broke down the other tasks that we pretty much have everything defined and covered. So that's the improvement that we did, which was better. So we're able to move things on quicker.
Thank you. Other questions? Any other?
I do have a question, but it's I might not even be able to ask this question precisely, but here at EDMI we are always trying to, company culture, team culture. The culture of empowered teams is very important to us, but also to create a culture of empowered and also high performing teams is really important to us. How would you go about building a high performing team? Well, I know it's a very generic question.
Yeah.
And if you don't have there are possible answers. I just wanted to hear what your personal opinion, your view on this.
Yeah. So to build an our empowering team, first you need to sell the vision. Like for me, I always emphasize the impact of why we're doing any project first. People need to be able to buy in to what you're doing. For example, I mentioned the financial inclusion project we were doing, and this was a project that would have great impact on people's life. Like it has great impact on life. So basically, I would sell the vision or an objective of project to the team. Now, building the team capabilities, I give the team autonomy. Like I mentioned, the Scrum value is very important. Like when I respect you and I live by that, I'm open, I tell you all the issues, I'm courageous to call out issues where there are issues and not sugarcoat it, and there's trust. You can trust me that even if something is going really badly, we can talk about it and find a way forward. Now they begin to trust me, they trust one another, the team becomes more cohesive and high functioning, because I can walk up to any member of the team and say, hey, I have this issue, or I don't even know how to do this. Do you have an idea? Let's talk about, or call Scrum Master. Now, I'm having this issue. I think you will delay this thing, this implementation. Can you help me resolve? Who can we talk to resolve this thing? So all these values are very important, and I really live by those values. So when you give them autonomy, you live by this value, you sow the vision and the impact, and continuously remind the team of the impact for example, I'm saying, you know that this meter, people install it in their house, there's zero margin for errors, and a wrong reading from the meter would mean that somebody's savings might be, eroded. Like maybe they're supposed to spend $200 on their monthly bill, for example. Now, because of wrong reading, they're spending 400. That has a big impact. So when we're building, there's customer empathy or user empathy. We're building in quality, into that solution. So when you are building, you're not just writing code because I just need to do this to get paid. You're coding, you're building with empathy and then putting yourself in customer shoes. And then we celebrate as well. Like we don't just work. When we hit milestone, we also recognize we accomplishment, we celebrate, we have anger, such. Yeah. So that's my approach. Yeah.
No, thank you. That's pretty good. And one last question before I can.
There's a lot of more questions. Sorry.
What do you know about the Scale Agile framework?
Yeah, I know a lot. So basically, from the so basically, I've actually implemented the essential configuration, where there are Scrum teams, and then they might, my experience, not all the Scrum team had a Scrum Master, so they were sharing. A Scrum Master is managing two Scrum team, and then the other one was managing two Scrum team. So I was the RT engineer working on that. So basically, I had a PO, and then there's a business line of business users with different product interests that they needed to implement, for the financial year. So we had pre-planning session where, of course, we had build pipeline, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker, everything configured by our enabling team, like technology. There's HR where we liaise with for resourcing as needed. There's legal risk because these are financial solutions. There are some legal compliance standard we need to adhere to, so they give us insight as well. So basically, for the roadmap for the financial year, different business stakeholders along with the PO, we have PI planning, program increment session. We look at the different initiative. We try to rank it using WSJ, weighted shortest job first, type of prioritization. We give weight to it, the one that is more important based on that weight, cost, and effort. We then prioritize it, and then we define what we would implement in the next program increment of 3 months. So that planning session is very crucial just for us to spend less time.
Have you gone through PI planning events?
Yeah, so I'm building up to that. So we do PI plan. I've mentioned it during the PI event, which is a 2-day event. We take this initiative that I've mentioned into the PI. That's what we implement for the 3 months. We have 5 iteration. The 5th one is for program innovation PI. So the 4 teams we distribute, or we choose the initiative that will be worked on based on capacity from the list I mentioned that we've prioritized with business. We talk through it, try to break it down to user story, high level, like t-shirt sizing estimation is done, just a bit of sizing. The solution architect gives some architectural guidance on the solution architecture. We talk about it with business. We identify dependencies, cross-functional dependencies that might affect the different teams, and plan for our response, the one we accept, the one we would own, the one we will mitigate, and we plan a response for that. We discuss it as well. We talk, yeah, dependency. We also ask for the team members if.
You covered it already. Thank you. No, yeah, you've answered it well. Thank you.
Okay.
One, just at the start, do you live half in Tasmania and half in Brisbane? Is that?
Yeah, because my wife is trying to stay closer to her family. She's pregnant at the moment, so that's why I'm here. But yeah, I stay in Tasmania, Brisbane. I used to stay mostly in Brisbane, but now I'm supporting my partner. But of course, if I get a job, I have to find a way to go back to Brisbane.
Sure.
Because my current job is remote. Yeah.
We have asked you a lot of questions. Do you have questions for us?
Yeah. What do you got for us?
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to know the team configuration at this point. And is there a problem with delivery, like in terms of team not meeting their sprint goals as expected? And
There's always a problem with meeting.
Yeah.
I'd say in all Scrum teams that I've ever been around, and there's always problems with that. Always just continuous improvement's a big thing here. I think always looking at not kind of staying sterile or staying static. We're always looking at improving and seeing how we can.
Definitely.
So even if we were producing everything that we wanted to produce, we would still be discussing and figuring out how we can make things even better and what we continue to do. So around the team makeup size, like I said, there's 7 teams. So because I guess in the nature of the business that we do, we have all types of pieces of work. So we have the streams. We've got the hardware. So we've got people that do mechanical designs. We do people that do PCBs. They put the circuit boards together. They work out the components for all that. And then you've got the firmware team, the team that writes the firmware, that writes into registers and speaks directly between the actual hardware, reading voltages and that type of stuff, and converting that to code. And then you've got the software teams that will take that code and write all our back-end systems and our head-end systems and our customer front-facing systems. So we're kind of in that world where we're not just like a normal software development team where you just have cross-functionality, or you might have a back-end and front-end designers. We've got manufacturing, we've got hardware, firmware, software. It's like a cross-domain team makeup. So it adds slightly more complexities as well, because you have hardware that have to order parts from overseas, and you have to get PCBs developed overseas and that type of stuff. So it adds extra dependencies to it, but working our best at trying to run it all within the safe framework. So we've done 24 PIs now. So these guys have been running safe for 6 years. Quite a fairly mature process now. You explain about the PI planning and all that. So all the teams have been through it quite a bit. So it's not like we're a brand new. This is the first time we're doing it. We've done 24 PIs. So quite a mature Agile as far as safe and scale is concerned.
What is your current work situation? Are you actively looking for a new position?
Yes. Because my contract ends next week, actually. So it actually ended in October. They just wanted us to like house cleaning, transitioning, all the components that we built. So so that's it. Sorry if I still have time. I just wanted to ask: do you think there's some disadvantage to the safe? Is it safe you implement, or what? Yeah. Do you have anything you can say it's not working using the safe framework?
I can tell you what the key challenge is, because we are also doing a lot of hardware and firmware development, and the marriage between safe and hardware development is not always easy. So we are a complex solution house. We develop as they described, complex solutions that include hardware, firmware, software development, cloud operations, etc. It's not always easy to run all of that in SAFe, but we do it. We do it.
Yeah. So it's trying to, I think it's trying to fit the longer scale that hardware looks at. They're not like full waterfall, but they still have longer timelines on things. That it's really hard to do like an MVP process for hardware when it needs to go to a factory and get developed. It's a different complexities. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Sorry. I think that's
no problem.
Just last question, sorry. Just around the remote working and that. What would your ideal working situation be?
I'm flexible. Depends on. I would love hybrid. Often work in a hybrid situation, but hybrid, remote, then full office would be my least preferred.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
Look, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In terms of next step, do you have any feedback for me based on this conversation?
Look, we're having a number of interviews. We want feedback through PPA. PRA, sorry. It was PPA. We will want to have a few more interviews. Then we will provide feedback through PA. And we usually, as part of our process, we would have a second interview. That second interview would usually be with our head of technology and a representative of our people and culture team.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Look, I believe we can provide feedback fairly quickly, maybe within by the end of this week or beginning of next week.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you, Noah. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you.
For having the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Ah, God. Oh. Oh, Lord. That was long.